to fund various industrial projects in developing countries around the world. There are certain proposals which was initiated ki how the developing countries around the world can be given the support by international economic bodies. So therefore, out of such narratives or out of such requirements, there is a general agreement on tariff and trade, GATT, GATT, was established in the year 1947 as a global trade organization charged with fashioning and enforcing multilateral trade agreements. So, how to enhance multilateral or multilateral trades across the globe? Such kind of initiative was taken by this GATT called GATT, that is called General Agreement on Tariff and Trade. When globalization was started in India during early 90s, of course, at that time we were students. All the time, if you make a review of Times of India or any other important newspapers, you'll find that some kind of news and analysis, write-ups and discussions were on the basis of this general agreement on tariff and trade. That means there was an agreement across the nations to enhance trade facilities. I think, of course, it was started in 1947 in Europe, but in India, maybe 1991. So therefore, these concepts were debated, highly debated in India during 90s, because we were accepting or adopting a new major economic policies. Of course, this talks of policy shift. How there is a policy shift in India. Specifically, this policy shift was started in 1991. So there was a lot of debate and discussions you can find on this GATT. In 1995, this World Trade Organization was founded as the successor organization of GATT. That means in 1995, this General Agreement on Tariff and Trade, this organization was replaced as World Trade Organization. Of course, it was started with a kind of agreement, but later on it became World Trade Organization. So WTO, World Trade Organizations, how trade can be enhanced, how trade can be occurred, how trade can taken place across the globe, across the nations, across the societies, despite their geographical boundaries. So these are the three major important aspects on the basis of which we say that the world economic order has transformed, has changed to a large extent. So these are the features of new economic world order. The topmost priorities which were set by this Bretton Woods, and it has immensely contributed to the establishment of what can be called as a golden age of controlled capitalism. That means this particular period in European history is called as golden age of controlled capitalism. How capitalism can be controlled and how capitalism can be given a boost, how capitalism can be spread. So the initial homework or the initial foundation was done by this Bretton Woods, and it is called as the golden age of controlled capitalism. What is the political outfit of this golden age of controlled capitalism? The most conservative political parties in Europe and United States, they also accepted Bretton Woods orientation of this kind of economy. Specifically, the British economists like Keynes, and also they advocate and they are the architect of Bretton Woods system. So therefore, what has happened because of these things, that there was a boost to capitalism, there is a boost to economic trades. Of course, initially or largely it was confined to European nations and state, but later on maybe in other parts of the world. But the foundations, the initial effort was done by such countries. The existing mechanism of state control over international capital movement, that means the control over international capital movement, it has made it possible for full employment and expansion of welfare state. So the notion of welfare state, the notion of state control over capital was given a momentum through this. You know what exactly the European countries, if you take it in a different, little different way, you know, there are two world order. Of course, one is about the capitalist world order, other one is about the socialist world order. But actually, both were flourishing. One was flourished in United States of America or England and all that, and the other one is about Soviet Russia and that side. There are two different ideologies, you can say. But because of these institutions, what I could feel, and because of this united effort by certain European countries, the socialist form of governance and socialist pattern of economy got collapsed. And there was no such effort from other side. And there are certain kind of frustrations, anger and anguish in the socialist pattern of economy. So therefore, this is one development. There is other development which was there in 1970s. So there was some kind of tussles, some kind of issues specifically pertaining to the wages, increase in social services, and because of such activities, this Bretton Woods system got collapsed. That means, you see, if you look at the history of any economy or any kind of society, this rise and fall takes place, but the foundation laid by this Bretton Woods system has led us today to such kind of globalizations which was implemented through LPGs. So the point I'm trying to say, that because of certain kind of contradictions, this Bretton Woods system collapsed, and later a new global economic order emerged. Of course, the foundation was taken by this, given by this, or started by this, but later on there are certain issues because of which this Bretton Woods system got collapsed. Then what has happened after this? After this, there was President of United States of America become Richard Nixon, and he has abandoned this gold linked ratio to dollars, and because of certain internal issues of United States of America, specifically instability in form of inflations, low economic growth, high unemployment, public sector deficit, and unprecedented energy crisis due to organization of petroleum exporting countries, the world's oil supply. So there are certain issues in the United States of America, And this political crisis or this political situations in US has created or has tried to go for a controlled capitalism, or this model of controlled capitalism which was initiated. It was got suffered, and you got this neoliberal approaches to economic and social policies. That means initially it was a controlled capitalism, but later on a neoliberal approach to economic and social policies has started. Apart from United States of America, what has happened during British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher? They and by that time the U.S. president has also changed. So Ronald Reagan became the president of U.S. So they have focused on neoliberal revolutions against the Keynesian economy or Keynesian model of economy. What are these two different kind of models of economy? You can try to make more further studies on these issues. What is called the Keynesian model of economy, and what is called the control capitalism or control capitalism, and the neoliberal model of economy. What exactly I'm trying to argue or trying to convey, that because of these developments, you got a new world economic order, and uh, it has been further strengthened by the internationalization of trade and finance. And what are the major concrete neoliberal measures which was initiated as part of neoliberal policies and agendas? So there are 10 important characteristics of neoliberal policies, specifically called privatization of public enterprises, then deregulation of the economy, liberalization of trade and industries, massive tax cuts, then uh, monetarist measures to keep inflation in check. That means how inflation can be checked by monetarist measures, even at the risk of increasing unemployment. Then strict control on organized labor, the reduction of public expenditures, particularly social spendings, downsizing of government, the expansion of international market, the removal of control on global financial flows. I think these are the 10 major important liberalized measures which were started by these liberal economies. What are these major points? I think you can make some sense about uh, these points, specifically privatization of public enterprises. What was known as the private and public enterprises means the government and private partners jointly they were doing certain activities. I think largely it was being privatized. So privatization of public enterprises. So privatization means it has been given to the private parties.